In the early 13th century, a force emerged from the Eurasian steppe that would change the course of world history. They had no stone cities, no castles, no written constitution. And yet, within a single lifetime, they forged the largest contiguous land empire the world has ever known, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the heart of Europe. So, how did an army from the steppe outpace kingdoms with cities, walls, and larger populations, again and again across an entire continent? This is Empire of Time, and today we travel to the cold grasslands of Mongolia, to the windswept steppes where survival demanded speed, loyalty, and strength, and where one man would turn chaos into conquest. Most empires expand like a tide, slow, heavy, predictable. The Mongols expanded like lightning, feared for their brutality, admired for their discipline, and misunderstood for centuries. The Mongol Empire was not simply a conquering horde, and their secret wasn't a single weapon. It wasn't the bow. It was the system, one built on mobility, merit, intelligence, and ruthless efficiency. This is the story of how a fragmented group of nomadic tribes reshaped Eurasia, and how their empire rose, ruled, and ultimately fell. Around the year 1162, a boy named Temujin was born on the Mongolian steppe, near the Onon River. His world was harsh and unforgiving. Life on the steppe demanded endurance, adaptability, and constant vigilance. Survival depended on loyalty, strength, and the ability to respond quickly to danger. Temujin's childhood was marked by tragedy. His father, Yes-U-Gay, a minor tribal leader, was poisoned by rivals when Temujin was still young. Soon after, his family was abandoned by their own clan, left to survive alone in the wilderness. They lived in poverty, scavenging for food, hunted by enemies, and constantly at risk of death. These experiences forged Temujin's worldview. Unlike the aristocratic elites of other steppe tribes, Temujin learned that lineage alone meant nothing without loyalty and competence. Power, he concluded, should be earned, not inherited. This belief would later become one of the defining principles of the Mongol Empire. In 1206, on the banks of the Onon River, a great assembly, known as a Kurultai, proclaimed him Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This moment marks the formal beginning of the Mongol Empire. Importantly, this new empire was not composed solely of Mongols. It was a federation of Mongol and Turkic tribes, united under a single command structure. For the first time, the steppe spoke with one voice. The Mongol army was unlike anything the world had seen. It was almost entirely cavalry, built around speed, coordination, and discipline. Each warrior was trained from childhood to ride and shoot with deadly accuracy. Their primary weapon was the composite bow, small, powerful, and capable of piercing armor at long range. Mongol horse archers could fire accurately while riding at full speed, something most settled armies could not counter. But weapons alone do not explain Mongol success. Their true advantage lay in organization. Genghis Khan reorganized his forces into strict decimal units, groups of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. Loyalty was transferred from tribe to unit, breaking old clan rivalries and ensuring discipline. Promotion was based on merit, not noble birth. A shepherd who proved capable could command thousands. This created fierce loyalty to the Khan and constant competition for excellence. Communication was another key advantage. Mongol armies used flags, horns, and messenger riders to coordinate movements over vast distances. Orders could be relayed rapidly across the battlefield and across continents. They also mastered psychological warfare. Cities that surrendered voluntarily were often spared. Those that resisted faced massacre or enslavement. News of such destruction spread quickly, encouraging others to submit without a fight. Fear became a weapon. Once unified, the Mongols expanded outward with astonishing speed. Their first major targets were the Western Xia and the Jin dynasty in northern China. These campaigns taught the Mongols how to fight settled states, defend supply lines, and conduct sieges. When the Mongols encountered fortified cities, something the steppe offered little experience with, they adapted. They recruited engineers, artisans, and siege specialists from conquered peoples, including Chinese, Persian, and Arab experts. These individuals were spared and put to work building catapults, siege towers, and other siege technologies. The most dramatic campaign came in 1219 against the Khwarezmian Empire, which ruled much of Central Asia and Persia. After a diplomatic insult and the killing of Mongol envoys, Genghis Khan launched a full-scale invasion. The result was catastrophic. Mongol armies crossed deserts thought impassable, struck cities from unexpected directions, and annihilated entire armies. Major urban centers were destroyed, populations decimated, and the Khwarezmian state collapsed entirely. By the time Genghis Khan died in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched from northern China to the Caspian Sea. It was already the largest empire the world had ever known. Conquest alone could not sustain such a vast realm. To rule their territories, the Mongols adopted a decentralized system. The empire was divided into ulis, or domains, assigned to members of Genghis Khan's family. While this preserved unity under the Great Khan, it allowed flexibility across regions with vastly different cultures. Initially, the Mongols imposed steppe-style governance, granting conquered lands as appanages to military commanders. Over time, however, they recognized the value of existing administrative systems. Rather than destroy bureaucracies, they absorbed them. In China, Persia, and Central Asia, Mongol rulers retained local officials, tax collectors, and scholars. One notable figure, Yelu Chukai, a Confucian administrator, argued that taxing peasants was more profitable than slaughtering them. This pragmatism transformed the empire. Formal bureaucracies emerged. Census-taking, standardized taxation, and provincial administrations were implemented. Trade routes were protected, and merchants received special privileges. The Mongols ruled lightly, but efficiently. In the mid-13th century, the Mongol Empire reached its apex. It eventually divided into four major khanates: the Yuan dynasty in China, the Ilkhanate in Persia and the Middle East, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Golden Horde in Eastern Europe and Russia. Though politically distinct, these states remained connected by shared Mongol identity, law, and trade networks. Under Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, the Mongols completed the conquest of China and founded the Yuan dynasty. Kublai ruled as a Chinese emperor, adopting court rituals, administrative structures, and governing from what is now Beijing. This era saw the rise of the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative stability across Eurasia. Trade flourished along the Silk Road. Ideas, technologies, and cultures moved widely. Navigation techniques, printing, and other knowledge spread across continents. For the first time, Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia were deeply interconnected. Yet, the very size of the Mongol Empire sowed the seeds of its decline. Succession disputes weakened central authority. Rival Khans fought one another. Local elites gained influence, and Mongol rulers increasingly assimilated into the cultures they governed. Over time, power shifted from warrior elites to bureaucrats and regional administrators. Economic strain, rebellion, and plague further destabilized the empire. In 1368, the Mongols were driven out of China by the Ming dynasty, marking the end of Yuan rule. The Ilkhanate collapsed earlier. The Golden Horde fragmented into smaller khanates. The Chagatai Khanate dissolved into competing states. The unified Mongol Empire ceased to exist. The Mongol Empire is often reduced to one word: destruction. And the destruction was real. Entire cities vanished. Populations collapsed. Kingdoms fell in days. But their true legacy is far more complex, because the Mongols didn't just conquer. They connected. They accelerated long-distance exchange across Eurasia. They demonstrated that systems, logistics, communication, and merit-based command could outperform sheer numbers. They connected civilizations that had rarely interacted before. From a fractured steppe to a world-spanning empire, the Mongols proved that history is not always written by those with cities and walls, but by those who move faster, think sharper, and adapt better than anyone else. Their empire fractured, as all empires do, but the world they stitched together never fully separated again. For a brief, violent moment, the steppe ruled the map, and history sped up. This was Empire of Time. If you want more journeys through history's greatest powers, comment below which empire we should dive into next.